Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Content Crowd. I'm your host, Trevor Grimes, and today we're going to be talking about content in ways that actually resonates and ways to make those different shifts from creative habits to changing your point of view to behind the scenes breakdowns so that listeners and me included can stop mimicking and start making content that actually matters. All right, let's hop into my guest for the day. I'm here with Tylor Jones. How's it going today?
Nice. What's up? I was wondering if I was gonna get one of those cool title banners like
Oh,
you got.
yeah, everybody gets their own. Everybody's gotta you gotta throw it up
Yeah.
again. You can check it out. Everybody gets their own. So, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, definitely, throw some love in the chat. Tyler's feeling a little bit of the weather today, so we make sure that we're encouraging him throughout this. But yeah, man, let's go ahead and jump into it, and let's just talk about who you are and what you do and what you tell people that you do at parties.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun one, right? So my title is Director of Digital Acquisition, and that took a little while. So I work for a private equity firm, and there's about 6 business units now that are active. And so for a while when I came on, they just called me the leads guy, and I was like, we got to be better than that. So what I tell people I do at parties is I just tell them I work for a private equity firm, and my job is to be building pipeline through anything digital for the sales teams for all 6 of our business units, which keeps the room spinning most days.
Yeah.
It's a busy time.
So, did you get to come up with your own title? Did you like rework it to get where you are now?
No, okay, so no, it's a good question. So I came up like through SaaS marketing, and we're not a SaaS. We've productized kind of a business services offering, but so I came up as demand gen, right? I have, if you look at my titles, director of demand gen and all that. So they didn't want to use that one, and we kind of agreed on digital acquisition. So it was a push pull
Yeah.
scenario. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Well, it's always kind of cool if you can kind of massage your title a little bit so you don't get, the generic like this is the marketing guy or this is like the leads guy, it's kind of nice to
Yeah.
massage.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool, man. So, can you just I mean, you kind of told us like what you do, but can you go more into I know you mentioned like it's a private equity and you've productized some stuff. So,
Yeah.
you talk about like the process of that and what creating some of that looks like cuz I think like I don't know, I hear like productizing or producting of things seems to be like more popular or see a lot of people talking about it. So I think it'd be cool to
Yeah.
kind of hear how you guys went through that.
Yeah, I think that it's been a long journey and we're still on it, right? I think when people usually say productize, what they end up meaning is they create a vocabulary around what they're selling. And so they say that they productize it like, we're going to come up with packages and sort of productize. What we've done is we're the only, first of all, what we do is fixed cost reduction, and we do it for the enterprise. So $100 million plus businesses, think like any category that you can spend money in, for your business. Think like waste, telecom, all that kind of stuff that you have a contract for. You go out, you have a procurement team that agrees on terms and things like that. Well, the company's been doing it for 35 years. They're the biggest one in the world, and they've got, if you can imagine, 35 years of data for every type of business you can imagine in every spend category. And so what they decided to do about a year and a half ago was, now we're the only business services firm in cost reduction that owns our own AI and LLM. So what we've done is, what's different between what we've done and what other companies have done is other companies will build a platform that, for example, like reads all of your spend data and gives you insights. What we like to say is, with SpendBrain, the name of the product, you can have a conversation with your spend. So we have merged the platform level with like an LLM that speaks to you based on 35 years of spend and understanding of like your specific market. So it's I don't want to say smarter than Chat GPT, but it's like a like a very niche down, very specific GPT based on all this data that we've collected. And so when I say productize, what I sort of mean is we are bringing a brand new product to market, and we found a way to take what's traditionally kind of gray hat, like fixed cost reduction. What's that? What do they do? There's not a lot of trust in the industry all the time, to something that's just extreme clarity and how do we communicate an offering that's not out there anywhere else in the world, and so that's kind of the journey that we're on right now, and it's been a lot of fun. I mean, what's cool about launching something is it's so moldable. There's not a category necessarily for us to fit into. Like we're right now doing a lot of we're taking the B2C playbook, and like I spend $100,000 a month on Meta, which not a lot of B2B demand gen guys are doing. And we're using UGC videos and like, trying to figure out how we can go more product led. It's really a cool blend of this B2B and B2C content or content styles that we're able to use.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting because yeah, you're. It's definitely like, I guess maybe you've got a little bit more, maybe not more freedom, but more room to experiment when you're kind of owning a category or like a category creation in this way. You've got a
Yeah,
lot to
or
play with.
or even what's a lot of fun that some of the listeners might think is cool is we're knocking off a lot of category, like we're sort of disrupting categories that we don't fit into
Yeah.
beautifully. So I like to talk about like the almond milk example, right? Like almond milk didn't need to be refrigerated, but they put themselves right next to milk and said on the almond milk container, like why they were better for the environment and better for you than milk. And that's sort of what we're doing. Like I'm right now creating content that is like category busting content
Yeah.
because people don't know that this alternative exists because it's brand new.
That's a super good example because I honestly didn't really know that. I knew that almond milk didn't have to be refrigerated, but I never thought about it that way. To me, I just always thought about, well, you've got it like over here in this like other space of the grocery store, then you've got it next to milk, and it's just next to milk because people will associate almond milk with milk. But it makes a lot of sense to think about like we don't have to be in the refrigerator, but if we are next to that, puts us right up against the competition, and we get to be
Yeah.
the counterpoint of whatever that is.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. When I was working at Refine Labs, Chris Walker had brought in this guy who, like, I guess consulted with or consulted for almond milk. And he told the story really well, but they had to fight for that position next to milk.
Yeah.
Like they didn't want to give it to them. Why do you need that kind of thing? And so and that is just an example, like what I'm doing, like kind of anywhere you're gonna go and disrupt a category. Of course, I do it online, so I can just like pay to place it. But
Yeah.
like imagine going to Google and having to say, no, this is I know it's not our category, okay, but it is kind of like we can help these people. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so it's kind of fun.
That's really interesting. Well, so when you're creating this content and you're trying to like place yourself in this place that maybe you may or maybe don't belong, what's been kind of like, have you had like a rule or like a philosophy that you're kind of following that makes the creation of this either more sustainable or easier or more enjoyable or just better overall?
For the potential customer.
No, we just for you. Like
Yeah.
you're like if you guys are leading the charge in creating this, what are some rules you follow to make sure it sticks?
Yeah, no, that's an interesting question, and I might not answer this the way that you want it, the way that you want me to, but I it would be easier to go into a space and talk about your product in a way that maybe isn't the whole truth. Like we're
Hmm.
developing this as we're building it. We're laying the tracks in front of the train.
Hmm.
And so for me, I'm like, no, we just need to tell the whole truth about what it is in its current state right now. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Not and so like we find this like crossing the chasm, right? You've read a lot of people have read this product marketing book called Crossing the Chasm, right? And
Yeah.
you have this really small group of early adopters that are usually like super into the tech. They're like nerding out on how did you build an LLM inside of a procurement platform that reads all of my spend data for me, right? And so that's like 5% of the market. And then another 15% of the market lives, there's a gap usually, and your business sort of slows down. And then you have kind of these secondary adopters that aren't as into the tech, but you've sort of proved out that it works. And you have the middle hump where sort of everybody kind of lives. And so, like in a business and with the content that you want to create, you want to go into the middle hump right away.
Yeah.
But we also have an obligation to be 100% truthful about what you can and cannot do. And, like as much as we want to talk like the future state is the current state because we know that's where the gold is. Like we've got to stay on track. And that's kind of a rule that I've been living by just because it's so in motion.
Yeah. Interesting. That's cool. That's a great piece of advice. Have you had like I know you've had like you had multiple sort of titles and different experiences, but so I'd love to know like either piece of content or campaigns that you've created in the past that like have totally flopped, and if those flops are helping sort of dictate or guide how you go about creating now.
Yeah. I think anybody who's probably been in especially the SaaS world, has a bunch of stories. Like I could probably give you one from almost everywhere that I've been. Um, but I'll give you two. The first one was a big company, brand new product launch, and we were creating it was PLG. And so product led, right? We can get people right into the product, but how do we get them active in it and using it? How do we make the product sticky? And so we spent hours writing scripts and storyboarding and getting our subject matter experts to like, and then editing videos ourselves after the subject matter experts went through the scripts with like screen caps and all that. And so you just pour hours into like this 10 video series. And I think we wound up like putting it on YouTube and linking it through an email, and nobody watched that shit at all. And so it was like, okay, hold on, guys. What we have to do is probably, get that was more of like a go to market problem, right? Because actually, what we found out that we needed was a larger support team and then one to one outreach, right? So,
Mhm.
like, if you're going to send but imagine you signed up for Asana or Figma, and they sent you a an email that said, check out this video. So, and you look and it's like a 10 video series. You probably weren't that into the product. You want to be playing in the product, not
Yeah.
watching a video while you do it. And so that was a total flop. And
Gotcha.
there was one more recently, which I think is probably like another really good example for anybody who's sort of in content, but also in the paid space and all that. Anywhere growth marketing, really. So one of the portfolio companies for my company, they do Amazon FBA reimbursements. So if you ever bought anything on FBA, they sit in a warehouse, they get to you in 2 days, right?
Yeah.
Well, Amazon screws up all the time.
Yeah.
You're a seller and you send a shipment in and you've got proof that you bought it, and they say they don't know where it is, and there's like $10,000 of your money in that shipment,
Yeah.
or they bang up your product or whatever. So what we did is we recovered that money for sellers, right? Put it back in their pocket, go buy more product, grow your business. And Amazon is the big daddy of them all, the king of kings. You know what I mean? Like they can do whatever they want. And so they decided one day, like, they were going to not give anybody their margin anymore. What they would do is if you had a $2 product and sold it for 10, they'd give you 10. They'd make you whole on the sale. Now
Mm.
they're only going to give you $2, and they're going to make it a lot more difficult for you to prove that and get that money out of them. And it's so crazy. It's like Amazon, it won't hook you up with another $6 because they screwed up, right?
Yeah.
Like one of the biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
So we get our CGO on, and he does a PowerPoint presentation, and we do a video and we make a landing page, and we're like, this is going to go bonkers. We're the first ones reporting on this. And you go in and you got it live for a couple days, and there's like maybe a couple hundred clicks on the email, and people aren't really watching the video. And my job is not only to help write the script, put the video together, put it on the landing page, get people to watch it. My job is to get people to sign up now so that we can help them before the deadline. That's the urgency behind it, right?
Yeah.
And so that was what we call a distribution problem.
Yeah.
So what we needed to do, we found later, we were like, let's chop this up. Let's pay to put it directly in front of somebody. Let's move this section up here to the front, right? So like really trying to understand the structure. And that's when I got into like the UGC type video creation for
Mm.
B2B, was because I was like, actually, what we need is 30 seconds, because Amazon already told all of these people what was going to happen.
Yeah.
What we need is like hook, meat and potatoes for 15 seconds, get into the product now. Like what's important is not that Amazon is screwing you. Yeah, it's important. It's the crux of it. But what's important is your money. And so we had a distribution problem for the most part, kind of paired with the message, right? Most people don't want, especially today, to hear you talk. They just don't want to hear you talk. So
Yeah.
you got to get to it.
Yeah.
And it's got to be all impact for them. You know, he can't be walking around trying to explain what you're going to do and all that, especially if you can get people directly into a product. And then once we did that, it took us about 2 weeks to pivot. We boomed. We had the biggest sign up months, that we had. But that original idea, well, it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you made a lot of really interesting points, and I've got like so many follow up questions, especially on like the video part of it, because I feel like where we're at now, it's kind of like we are trying to, at least like in the stuff we're doing, it's like, look, like if we can get it, if somebody can open an email, that's great, but like we need to have something for them to do, and people are not going to read; they want to listen, and then it's like,
Yeah,
can we do a video? Okay, we've got somebody who's willing to record a video. Now we got to make sure that it's like you said, it's short and sweet, and it's just all about what they're going to get out of whatever we're trying to give as
yeah.
much as possible. So I'm interested in like you mentioned like UGC stuff. Are you talking like are you just like finding like talent on like Upwork or something like that
Yeah,
to record the video? Like it's not you recording it, it's not somebody from the company. It's like you're getting like a
yeah.
person that is a representative for this or
Yeah, so with the company that I work for, actually we signed up for something called Billo, and they just have a pool of actors.
oh, okay.
And so you can pay them, I think it's like $200 a video. You
Yeah.
get like 3 or 4 revisions, and I'll show you some of the ones that we've done that are working really well. But it's like if you have a product, you have a talking head, and then you have like them screen cap navigating in the background. And what's
Yeah.
really cool about that, especially where it crosses over into B2B, it's like think about a website, right? I do digital work and I don't read your web page. I look at the value props and your H1s, maybe your H2s, but that's really it. And so what's cool is like you can have somebody talking and a really good hook and screen cap navigating, and people are looking behind them at the value props on your H1s, and that's what's soaking in. So it's
Yeah.
like, okay, it's not just like, is this a really cool video? It's like almost like a little subliminal there, right? And what we've done to go even deeper into that is we've come away with like stables of spokespeople. Like we have one lady who's great who does all of our spend brain videos. She is the voice personality that people will put next to spend brain now. We've done that for other aspects of the business too.
That's super interesting because I mean, what's the like? What have you found? Why does that seem to work better than if you're just using like just like your BDR from the company or like somebody within the company that's like willing to hop on camera? Is it just more about having somebody that is like you said, you're going through somebody that just hires talent for this? Like, there's just
Yeah.
something different about having somebody whose job it is to record videos versus even if you've got a really good person in your team.
Yeah, I think it's a good segue. That's a good question because my biggest beef anywhere that I've gone, and I think what most people will say they run into is the quality standard. The quality standard for a brand is so much higher than the quality standard for you or I,
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
people listen to us or listen to you because they're interested in you and your take, and it's a personality, right? It's a personal brand. No brand has the luxury of putting out less than quality content
yeah,
because you just don't stand a chance. And so having those actors, they have professional lighting. Most of them are able to read a script without looking like they're reading a script. They're
yeah,
not sweating when they're reading the script. The microphone is better than par for the course,
yeah,
and that's what you don't get because we had people started getting frustrated with me a little when I came to SIB because I was like, I cannot put out this kick ass UGC video. And then the next thing that people see from me is a low quality phone shot, weak mic, weak audio. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
once you set the standard, that's the standard. It's not
yeah,
like, oh, we have one really good video. It's like, no, we are not putting out anything lower than this.
yeah.
But I mean, it's just, it's a level of quality control that just happens up front that you don't have to worry about.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. One of our clients, they had a product marketer in house that like their whole job was like doing videos and stuff like that, and they like outsourced like an editor. But I was like, we started watching some of them, and it was like kind of crazy because this person, like, it almost looked like they were AI. Like I had met this
Uh-huh.
person, or at least on camera, and
Uh-huh.
met them before, so I knew they were a real person. But I was just like, all the things you just mentioned, like it just kind of clicked. Like, yeah, they don't look like they're reading off a teleprompter or reading a script. They don't look like their eyes aren't like darting all over the place. They're like
Mhm.
literally looking right at the camera, and they're like telling you what's going on. And they're being like the editing, they're being shrunken down, and all the stuff behind them is happening, and there's stats and stuff that are kind of going around, and it's just like, yeah, all that is a big difference than even if you are like sharing your screen and you're like pointing at a deck you put together. It's
Right.
I think like I think there's a place for that, but you're like, you're like saying like you go ahead and set up that sort of standard, and you're kind of like
Yeah.
already like ahead
Yeah, well,
essentially.
I think, like, I was listening to your show, before coming on, and I don't know which episode, but it was an early one, and the guy was like, "Just get going, just start."
Yeah.
And I think that is great advice, dude to dude or dudette, or you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, person to
Yeah.
person, personal brand. You don't know what's gonna work, yada yada, right? Make a small investment. If it keeps going, keep it going. And you see it, like, Chris Walker was a great example, I guess, even though that was 5 years ago. He just was recording on a regular old webcam and eventually turned into a $20 million agency
Yeah.
that he just sold, by the way, if you haven't seen the
Oh
news.
no, I didn't know that.
And,
Really?
um, and I think that's okay, but I think that you have to make the distinction. People bring that mentality into the brand, into the workplace to
Yeah.
represent the brand, and nobody cares about your brand, and it's a bad look, and you don't get more than a couple.
Yeah.
So personal brand, go for it, get started. Brand, make the investment, make it solid, set the standard, and never deviate from that standard.
Mm. Yeah, I mean that's you're really like changing my mind here, which is good. I mean, this is what these conversations are about,
Yeah.
because we're definitely all about like, somebody that's never made a video before, or somebody that's never used video in like outreach, like, try like just try it, record yourself like talking to the person directly, give them some valuable information. But I definitely think if you have a recognizable enough name, like you shouldn't be getting emails where somebody's like looking at their phone or doing their like webcam, and they're like
Yeah.
sitting far back, and they're just there's camera audio, you can hear the echo of the office they're in or whatever. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense to like make that upgrade to uh like you said, somebody whose job in lighting and microphone and everything is to do that. If do you also use these videos like within like an outreach sequence? Like if you're like sending an email out, are you also like maybe you've like put together like a super quick like proposal, like you know
Yeah.
for somebody? Are you also kind of doing the same thing? Like you're not sending it, you're
Yeah.
paying the talent to do that, to kind of have the video.
I have done that, but not in the way, like, our BDR team would not utilize a video like that in outreach. Like, okay, let me back up. I am pro BDR using their webcam to send a
Yeah,
message. I'm cool with that.
yeah,
We do lay in some of our sequences, like, what's better than writing you an email that looks like every other email you've gotten today and tells you how much we can help your company? It's writing you an email that says, "Hey, this isn't spam. We got this really cool thing going on over here. We made some videos about it. If it interests you, why don't you just tell me when is a good time to meet?"
yeah,
It's kinda like breaking up the feed, right? Just doing it
yeah.
in email, and we do utilize those videos. We might link out to those videos. What we've done is we've created, it's a page that's like a slideshow of those videos, so we have, like, feature sets, and you can go to that page and you can check all them out. They've got the
Nice.
same lady talking, right? Like I said, she's the face of it. They're all similar, and so that's how we utilize it in an outreach perspective.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, I was just kind of seeing how like that connect, because the one thing I was thinking about is like where do where does the disconnect come if there is one? If you've got the BDR reaching out to you, and it's using like UGC stuff, and then you finally get on a call with them and it's not the same person. Where
Yeah.
do you sort of make that disconnect or whatever? So
Yeah.
I appreciate that explanation. I also was interested in, you were talking about like the 10 video thing with like Asana, and you're saying like, are you saying like the lesson kind of learned there was people respond more if they're like in the tool, like they're in the tool actually doing it. There needs to be like one of those like a tour inside the tool
Yeah.
versus like trying to like watch a demo, not a demo, but watch like a tutorial on like a separate kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, so, like, if I'm looking at making content for a PLG, there's the interactive tour, which is call it low lift, medium impact, okay?
Mhm.
What I would do is and what I what we did with Getida, that's the name of the FBA company, is a lot similar. So, let me back up. Here, remember when I told you what I learned from that bombed video series before?
Yeah,
It actually wasn't a bad idea. Those videos just belong in the product.
yeah, yeah,
Okay, nobody signs up for a product and then wants to get a link from you that is not back into the product ever.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah. That's true.
So you create a video library inside of the product, and in your first visit to the pages, and you can do this, I think, with Pendo, you can trigger a video pop up,
Yeah,
right? And most things have that, but it's like it's got like a picture with where you can click, and it's like click here to do this, click here to do this. But what I would do is I would make sure that every video had the same person so they can start to put that person with the product, same tone, and I would just have that video show them inside of the product, right? So
yeah.
now I'm more engaged. I see the same person on the next page. I'll check that one out again too, and it's just as helpful as like a tutorial or something like that would do.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I'm on board with that too. I think keeping everything inside because the biggest thing is like you might put all this together, and I feel like implementation or getting somebody to actually use it is almost as big of a hurdle as actually selling them on the thing. Like once they buy the
Yeah,
thing, now you like. I think a lot of people forget to kind of make sure that they're actually using it or the experience is good because if
yeah,
they're not using it, they're not going to recommend you, they're not going to give you a testimony, like they're all those things that are important for you to continue selling. And if you're taking them out of the tool or out of the platform or whatever to go watch videos, or you're sending them to like your knowledge base or whatever on your website, and they've got to scroll through all these articles that you've put together to find the answer to their problem, like there's a disconnect there. And the actual like implementation and using the thing, I feel like it's probably dropping off at some point.
that's the downfall of most PLGs, brother.
I
I've
mean,
worked with a massive PLG. They compete. They're called Lucia. They compete with the Zoom Infos and stuff of the
yeah,
world. And they were like, actually, once we get somebody in, we only convert them into a paying customer at 30%. Okay, so what the hell is happening with the other 70?
yeah,
And how do we, move them? And what we realized again, and I think a lot of PLGs now are getting kind of hip to it, and I think they're doing better and better at it. If you have a PLG that's not like Slack, where everybody's got to use it, you have to be on it. There's
yeah,
nothing you can do about it. You just have a product that's kind of like a commodity product. You don't need as big of a stable of sellers necessarily, but if you only have 3 weeks and 60% of them aren't there, you need to get them to answer questions in the product, or you need to get a support team member in there, or you need to get a chat bot. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
you got to figure out how to move those people. And I love PLG because it's so easy to rack up those signups. And I was with Lucia, and they kind of like took it as gospel. I'm like, if you go into a board meeting talking about signups from marketing, you're not going to be going to board meetings for that long.
yeah.
Like you were going to be exiled from the board meetings.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. That's yeah. I've never really. I mean, I haven't did a lot with like PLG or just products in general in that sense. But like, it's as a consumer, I'm like, I don't know. Like, this kind of sucks. Like, I don't like this. I don't think like if people are not like converting from the demo to the whatever, and you don't know why, and you're not talking to them between signing up to them ending, then I would feel the same way. I want to get some kind of guided something along the way to know that I'm
yeah,
doing it correctly or using it correctly or maximizing how I use it. Because if I don't like what I got out of it in the first month that I had it for free, I'm definitely not paying for it. Like I
yeah,
should be getting the most out of it.
yeah. Yeah, most teams will have they'll put their qualifying questions right after the sign up, tell us more, and then they'll bucket you into, maybe small, medium, or large just to make it simple. And then what they would do is focus on generating content for the small, medium, or large and delivering
Yeah.
that to you over the course of that period of time.
Yeah.
If it's 3 weeks, then it's 3 weeks. I mean,
Yeah.
the fish is off the hook at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good segue into, talking about some campaigns that we kind of talked about some things that are flopped, and we've talked about how PLG is messing up. But I want to know about some things that you've done that you're particularly proud of.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so not business related. It's my favorite project right now. So I have a side hustle. It's not really a hustle because I don't make any money off of it.
Me either.
So
Not from anything I do on the side.
my buddy, okay, so here's the story. So I won't bury the lead. Do a podcast.
Me too. You know that?
Yeah. So I do a podcast, but we went and we have my guy who was a pastor for 10 years at a pretty big joint, and now he's not pastoring at all, but he's still got a lot to say. So he
Yeah.
had a lot to get off of his chest. And I'm like a secular guy, like I grew up in church. They call it like church hurt now. There's a term for it. And
Yeah.
I don't go that much. But my wife, both of her parents are career pastors. My grandparents and a lot of my family career pastors. So I kind of stay away a little bit now. And so we jam together on that show, him from like a teaching perspective because he's really got something to say, and me from like a what, like I don't
Yeah.
really know about this kind of perspective. And but what's been really the most fun about that, and that's why like I'm totally into those types of projects when it's not for the brand that you're trying to represent,
Yeah.
is like we've been able to, over the course of like the last 9 months, like he's written a book. He's published that book. He's sold copies of that book on the website.
Yeah.
We have a store and it's of shirts, and we're like, okay, the fun part is, okay, if we're going to make shirts, like what's our persona?
Mm.
What when we talk comes through as the personality of the show, and how do we translate that into a shirt that people might want to buy, right?
Yeah.
And like that's like the fun. That's like the Play-Doh. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like how like and that's where you can in my opinion, like that's the point of really doing any kind of long form content.
Yeah.
And not only that, but like, we use Riverside, so there's technical stuff to Riverside, and then there's like, okay, my buddy's not a marketer and I've got a standard because I'm not going to let that go. So how do
Right.
we continue, like how do we create some kind of content flywheel whereby he wants to make a change, I will approve it, or I want to make, like, we have standard operating procedures for the content that we put out and timelines whereby that content needs to be produced, right?
Yeah.
So it's really been like trying to get a small business off the ground through content. It's been a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, I'd really be interested in that. Is that something you can share here, or you had to send it to me?
Yeah, I can share it. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's called The Wandering Home Podcast,
Okay.
thewanderinghome.com, WAND, thewanderinghome.com. And yeah, we've had a lot of fun. So we've been able to generate, since that's been up, it's about 6 months, um steadily 3 to 4,000 people to our website.
That's
Now that's a
awesome, dude.
distribution thing, right? So
Yeah.
YouTube, multiple shorts per episode, anything like religion, church hurt. We talked about cults coming out of Hamilton, Alabama. Um, and like we've had guests on that have their following. So we've done that. And we've also looked into like creating content. We create content for Reddit,
Mhm.
um, typically wrapped around his books. But, like we had to do some real marketing too. Where are the communities? How can we be accepted into those communities and talk to those communities in a way that we don't seem like narcs? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they actually are interested in what we're saying and
Yeah.
and will check it out. And so we've been able to do that, right? Like it's a point of pride, I think, for any marketer to say you started a thing and it has kind of continued to grow.
Yeah. That's
So it's
awesome.
been fun. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I've been trying to think of something to do with like one of my friends who's not like a marketer at all, but it's just like he's got like maybe a few hours of free time, not even a few hours, maybe 1 hour a week or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know. Do I have the time to put it all on me to do everything? Like he's just gonna come over and we're gonna hang out and do something, and he's gonna leave, and then it's up to me to spend the 38 hours longer getting
Yeah.
everything up and going. But That's awesome, dude. I'm definitely going to check it out. I'm very interested in that. And I was about to say this would be the third episode, I think, where we've said something about we've talked about cults in some way. So I think that's it was
Funny.
usually mostly because I was thinking like, dude, like if you like had 10% of the power as a cult leader, like how good of a marketer would you be? You know,
No
like
kidding.
how much could you sell if you had just like you're not using it for evil, you just had
Yeah, yeah.
10% of a cult leader's power of whatever it is, whatever that is that they have that makes people
Yeah.
blindly follow.
It's the Riz, man. They've got it. Yeah, it's crazy. I'll tell you real quick since we're talking about cults. So my buddy was in a cult and he didn't know it. And then we went down the rabbit hole because it's like when you're in a cult, would you know it?
Yeah.
And so we found a couple of people on TikTok that had become sort of TikTok viral that were also in that same cult and like broke out of it. And so we had conversations with them. It's called the cult was called the Ramp. It's from Hamilton, Alabama.
Oh, okay.
This
I think I'm
lady was
aware of
on, like,
that.
she was on, like, the Bible Network or whatever, and she was a singer, and she went back to Hamilton, and she started recruiting people, teenagers from all around other churches and stuff like that, so the community's getting all mad at her, and then she caught a deal for the Ramp to be on, like, a Bible network, so, like, you can go on and put the Ramp into YouTube, and it's just, like, insanity. There's, like, guys up on the screen that are just, like, screaming at these children, and, there's, like, kids with their hands up crying and all kinds of stuff, and then we sort of like peeled back the layers of like what that actually looked like when it wasn't on a like when if it wasn't a camera
Yeah.
on camera production, and it's fire. So yeah, yeah, you should check out that episode if you're gonna listen to anything. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I definitely will. I saw the one where you're like church or cult, you decide. I'm like, that's the first one I think I'm gonna watch because that's
yeah,
like
yeah.
that's is that the episode where you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. We had a couple, but yeah, there's a if you see it, there will be a lady in the video. She's
Yeah.
the guest that we had on,
Yeah.
and yeah, she was great. She was killing it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's really cool. I assumed that I knew you had to be doing something else. I don't know. I mean, I'll let everybody else that's listening know, but your wife is one of my wife's doulas, and
Yeah.
the first thing when we first met her, and I was like, told her like what I was like, I was she asked me what I did. I was like, I just work in marketing. I'll just say that. And she goes,
Yeah.
"Oh, you need to meet my husband." And he's like, I hear what she said. Like, I think she said all about LinkedIn or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
immediately like pulled out my phone and like went to find you. And I was like, oh, this guy, he's actually, everybody that I know. So I was like
Yeah.
really interested to see what other things you're kind of working on. But it's kind of like super refreshing to hear you like working on something that's more of like a fun passion project and
Yeah.
versus telling me you're working on like, I don't know, a software or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I'm building my own AI through
Yeah.
AI. Yeah.
No,
Uh,
that's awesome.
that's cool, man. LinkedIn's a beautiful place. Right now, my personal brand, I think if people see this, it looks like I have dreads, like I'm from Middle Earth and I'm the Gandalf of growth marketing.
Yeah. Well, I was going through. I went to your Facebook today to see if I could find a different picture to use for like the title of this episode, and I was like,
Yeah.
"There's not any." And I was like, "I'll
No,
just use
no.
his LinkedIn headshot." And I was like, "Well, I'm expecting him to come in with dreads."
No, man, it was a lot of fun, right? So all AI, and what I had a lot of fun doing is for those who are into LinkedIn, right? It's all about the comments and showing up, and
Yeah.
not always necessarily about your what you're putting out. And what the Gandalf of growth marketing allowed me to do is play on being a demand gen leader a few times, but also it allowed me to like I don't want to use the word troll, but I will. Is
Mm,
I'll comment in Middle Earth speak on
that's
people's posts.
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, yeah.
That is
Uh,
awesome.
that's been a lot of fun. And then before that, when I was doing a lot more like my own content and less commenting, I was the Charlie Daniels of demand gen.
Yeah.
And that got me sort of famous at the company I work for. They're all from Charleston, South Carolina. They all knew who Charlie Daniels was, so
Yeah.
it needed no introduction.
Yeah.
But I took that one from a song by a guy named Sammy Kershaw.
My double wide trailer. I
Yeah,
know what you're talking about.
in my double wide trailer, and in that, this guy is taking his old lady away
Yeah.
from him, and old lady looks back and she says something about his name is Earl. He's the Charlie Daniels of the torque wrench.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was
Dude, I
like,
was
that's
listening to
it.
that song like 3 days ago. Like I was
That's
like on
funny.
repeat. I was like, dude, this is like a certified hood classic. I was
Yeah.
like, I love that song. I love Sammy Kershaw, but I was just like randomly, I was like, I forgot about that song. I've been jamming to it. So that's super funny that
Yeah.
you brought that up. Well, as soon as you said that, I was like, there's no way he's talking about Queen of my double wide trailer right
That's
now. But
it.
I'm glad that that's
Yeah.
awesome, dude. No, this has been awesome. This has been an awesome conversation. I appreciate you for being so like openly like sharing all these tips and stuff with us, because the
Yeah.
biggest goal of this is for me to interview people that are more talented and more interesting than I am, so that we can everybody
Okay.
can learn, but also me, because I'm
Yeah.
taking some of these things and implementing them tomorrow. So
Yeah.
this is
Cool.
awesome. I got to ask the final question, which is, when it comes to creating content, what's the one hill that you'll die on?
Oh man, I don't really know, but I think I've said it already. I will die on this. If you work for a company that is doing, what did I say, less than $20 million a year,
Yeah.
there are far more impactful things for you to worry about than doing a podcast like this,
Mhm.
than putting out ebook after ebook, right? Like there's so many structural things in marketing that you can do to move the needle. I just moved. I'll give you an example. So we were thinking about doing a podcast, right, at SIB, and just someone on the team wanted to do it, and we were doing a lot of social, organic social, with not very much traction, and so much so that the reason you don't want to do it is because it's going to take so much of your time to do
Yeah.
that, and you could be more productive in other places. And so for SIB, what we want to do is we want to be we want to do only thought leadership content. And I'm like, roll down this thread. It looks like ads everywhere. Like our
Mhm.
organic looks like an ad. We're moving away from organic, talking about like anything tactical, and we're moving that into Reddit. And we're
Yeah.
not going into Reddit to sell because Reddit will excommunicate you. We're going into Reddit to have conversations and bring awareness in those communities, right?
Yeah.
So rather than us spending all this time, rather than spending all your time trying to produce a podcast and then you don't know how to distribute it, or there's no following, people will say start a podcast because somebody did it one time and built a $20 million company. Well, guess
Mhm.
what? That person built a $20 million company off of a personal brand.
Yeah.
Okay, not off of SIB's brand, or
Yeah.
Scrappy ABM's brand. Like, people who listen to you guys are interested in you. They may find their way to
Yeah.
Scrappy ABM, right? But you're not going to do this podcast and post as Scrappy ABM. No, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's about the personality. And so if you're under $20 million, you have a small team, probably 6 people or less. Just focus on moving the needle where the needle will move the most, and
Yeah.
long form content. Somebody's going to leave. Nobody lasts more than 2 years in a startup environment like that most of the time. So somebody's going to leave, then it's going to die. You know what I mean? There's just too many variables that
Mhm.
make it unsustainable. So yeah, that's a hill I'll die on.
I've been telling people I mean, I've posted about it a few times, but I've been telling like B2B people for a long time, like go check out what people are saying about you on Reddit. Like
Yeah.
I'll send like whole threads of like people just trashing a certain software or trashing
Mhm.
something. And I even sent some of our clients, I just searched for their name on YouTube because I was trying to find their YouTube channel. And there was actually like this guy that was doing reviews on them versus their competitors. And I'm like, you've got like your content here, or you don't need to create anything. There's people out there already creating it. You just
Yeah.
need to figure out, is what they're saying correct? And if you're losing all these things, then let's start figuring out how to adjust that, readdress that. Let's fix those things. And I think I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think that's something that just like B2B people are typically, I think, not thinking about Reddit, and they're just thinking about putting stuff out there. And Reddit is this weird
Yeah.
chat land or whatever. But really, it's
Yeah.
like people are talking about you. You think nobody talks about your accounting software? They are. Like, you can go
Yeah.
search it, and people are out there talking about it, whether it's good or not. They're out there talking about it.
I'll give you one content hack that everybody's talking about right now, and I just cracked it the other day. Okay. And then
Okay.
probably we'll wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody wants to rank on AI, and everybody wants ChatGPT to send referral traffic to their website.
Yeah.
Okay. SpendBrain, brand new. I have gotten now consistently ChatGPT to recommend SpendBrain as an emerging technology platform for AI spend intelligence. I've done it through community posts, Reddit, Quora, all that. Because when you ask ChatGPT what people are saying, what's the tech stack look like? Because it wants like a more personal answer, it actually doesn't want to look at the massive brands all the time. So we've cracked that code through almost entirely through Reddit and a few blog posts. Like we
Yeah.
aren't doing anything crazy. We're not turning the world upside down, but your voice is elevated in a room where people give a shit what you have to say. Your
Yeah.
blog, hardly ever people care too much about what you have to say unless you just nail it and their query was right on.
Yeah.
And so I think I got a big hunch that, you know, the UGC yada yada, we've been kicking the ball down this road, and we talked communities, but it was all about owning communities. Now it's about talking and circulating in those communities, not necessarily for the click or anything like that, but you need to be where the people are and stop hosting just on your site
Hmm.
and see what happens.
Yeah.
And let me
Okay.
know,
Okay.
because I got a hunch. I got a big hunch.
Okay, I'm going to start that because I am, I mean, I've got all these other, I've got side things I'm working on too. And I'm like, how can I get people to like this, for example, how can I get people to this? And it's like, maybe, you know, like I'm on Reddit, I'm on there reading stuff. I'm like, I could just throw this in there. Like this episode talks about how to do this. Like I can just throw that in there. That's what I need to be doing. Throw it
Yeah.
in there with the description and so people know what's up, short listen or whatever. Yeah. Okay. I'm writing that down. I'm going to try it and I'll report back.
Well, yeah, let me know, because, you know, iTunes or whatever, Apple Podcasts, it recommends you based on a litany of, you know, requirements, pace, size of audience, how long your show is, and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like regular SEO. It's like really hard to break in unless you have basically an authority, you know, some type of authority score. Well, ChatGPT is not actually going to read iTunes's internal rankings based on their algorithm. And so if you start to pop up inside of, let's just say Reddit, because there's more places to go, right? But let's just say Reddit, it will pick you up much, much, much faster. And you know, you can go direct to the audience, right? Like one of our audiences for SIB are accountants, right? The profit and loss statements, right? There's a freaking community of 500,000 people in FP&A Reddit community. Like, why are we not asking them what they think about this, or what they're doing, or what cool thing we saw? So yeah, let me know.
Oh yeah, I definitely will. Okay, and everybody else out there, try that too. Let's all figure it out together. Tyler, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you coming on. I'm sorry that you came on during the week when you're a little under the weather, but I appreciate you for giving me you gave me a great effort. It was above and beyond. I appreciate that. More than just a great
win. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. All right. I appreciate you.
See
all
ya.
right, everybody. Have a great week. See you next week.